He jumped. No parachute, no plan. Just 18,000 feet of open German sky. And a decision that should have ended everything. What you're about to hear isn't a legend. It isn't a rumor passed between airmen over warm beer in some English pub. Every detail of this story was independently investigated, formally documented, and confirmed by the enemy themselves. March 24th, 1944, northern Germany, 3.5 miles above the earth. A 21-year-old tail gunner named Nicholas Alkemade stood at the edge of a burning Lancaster bomber. He looked down into the darkness below and stepped off. He fell for 3 minutes, and then he woke up in the snow, lit a cigarette, and waited to be found. But here's the part that changes everything. The Germans didn't believe him either, so they investigated. And what they discovered forced them to do something that had never happened before and would never happen again. Stay with us, because this story gets stranger before it gets miraculous.
To understand what Nicholas Alkemade survived, you first need to understand what he flew into, night after night. By early 1944, RAF Bomber Command was bleeding. Not slowly, not quietly. Entire crews, 7 men at a time, were simply not coming back. Statistically, a bomber crewman completing 30 missions faced odds no reasonable man would accept if he saw them written down. Many crews didn't finish their third. Some didn't finish their third. And yet, every night, across the flat fields of Cambridgeshire and Lincolnshire, men climbed into their aircraft anyway, because someone had to. Nicholas Alkemade was one of those men, 21 years old, a gardener before the war, now a tail gunner with number 115 Squadron, sitting alone at the very rear of a Lancaster bomber, 50 feet away from the rest of his crew, inside a small Perspex turret facing backward into the dark. The tail gunner's position was the most dangerous seat on the most dangerous aircraft in one of the most dangerous jobs of the entire war. You were the last man in, the last man out, and the furthest from escape when everything went wrong. Alkemade knew all of this. On the night of March 24th, the target was Berlin, the most heavily defended airspace in Europe. The Lancaster lifted off into the English darkness and turned east. Somewhere ahead, the enemy was already waiting. Inside the tail turret, the temperature dropped to nearly -30 degrees Celsius. Even with heated suits, even with layers, the cold pressed in from every direction. Your breath fogged the glass, your fingers slowed, everything slowed, and you watched. That was the job. Watch the darkness and wait for something to move. By 1944, German night fighters had become something truly terrifying. They had radar, they had experience, and they had something most British crews didn't even know existed: Schräg Musik, upward-firing cannons. A fighter could slip beneath the bomber, hide in its blind spot, and fire straight up. You never saw them, you never heard them, until it was over. At around 1 a.m., it happened. Cannon shells tore through the aircraft from below, a violent jolt, and then fire. Not a small fire, the kind that fills an aircraft in seconds. The order came immediately: bail out. Up front, the crew moved fast. Grab the parachute, clip in, jump. Seconds, that's all they had. In the tail turret, Alkemade turned, reached for the exit, and opened it. The heat hit him first. Then he saw it, his parachute, already burning, gone, nothing left to use. Think about that moment. The aircraft is burning, falling apart. Your only way out is destroyed, and you have maybe 30 seconds to decide. He chose to jump, not out of panic, but because he preferred a fast death
to burning alive, a calm decision in the worst moment of his life. He opened the turret, felt the freezing night air, and let himself fall backward into the dark.
The noise stops first. The engines, gone. The aircraft, gone. Just silence, and the rush of air as he falls at over 100 miles per hour. He was alone, in the dark, 18,000 feet above the ground. He later said it felt peaceful, not because it wasn't terrifying, but because the decision was already made. There was nothing left to fear. He fell for nearly 3 minutes, long enough to think, long enough to see the ground rising faster than the mind wants to accept. At some point, he lost consciousness. Below him, a forest. Young pine trees, heavy with snow. The branches caught him first, breaking, bending, slowing him little by little. Then the snow, deep, soft, absorbed what remained. He landed and felt nothing. He woke up 3 hours later. At first, confusion, then realization he was alive. A sprained knee, some burns, but alive. He reached into his pocket, lit a cigarette, and lay there, waiting. When the Germans found him, they didn't believe his story. No one would. It was impossible. So they investigated. They found the wreckage. They found the burned parachute. They traced his fall through the forest. Every detail matched. And then the unthinkable happened. The Gestapo issued him a signed certificate confirming that he had fallen 18,000 feet without a parachute and survived. Something that had never happened before and never would again. Of the 7 men on that aircraft, only 3 survived. 4 never made it out. Their loss stands beside his survival. It always will. Alkemade returned home after the war, lived a quiet life, worked, married, raised a family. No medal. Because survival isn't something you're awarded for. He died in 1987, at the age of 64. The forest is gone now. The field changed forever. But one thing remains. That document, signed, stamped, confirming the impossible. A 21-year-old man, 3.5 miles of open sky, no parachute, and he walked away. This was just one of countless untold stories from the Second World War. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, America and World War II Stories, as we continue to bring these forgotten chapters back to life.